Hey, welcome back. And this is Eric Arnold here in my barn. Sometimes it's the sports barn, sometimes it's the politics barn. In this episode, it's going to be both. We got some sports to talk about, we got some politics to talk about. It's the 5th of February, sometime in the frigid afternoon here in the barn. So let's get to it. Don't have a whole lot of action going on right now. We were on a roll behind the scenes. I wasn't really putting out a lot of college basketball picks, but I was doing a lot of handicapping and betting behind the scenes, unbeknownst to you. Well, that's kind of come to a halt. We hit a losing skid, and now I'm just kind of not real confident in my college basketball model, my systems. So we're just, plus I'm just kind of a little burned out. You know, we kind of have been going at this nonstop since April of last year when baseball season started. So I think there could be something to that, you know, it just needs to be maybe an off season here, you know, in that I stick to baseball, college football, and then college basketball, except that's just year round. I mean, that covers, you know, they overlap and it's just one right into another and it's an endless cycle. I mean, every sport has its off season. So, you know, I'm kind of thinking I need an off season. So we're taking an off season at the moment where we're just not really betting college basketball. We're still paying attention and we're still trying to find errors in what we've been doing. Honestly, I'm not sure we could simply be in a random stretch of losing. In other words, no matter what percentage you're hitting, if you're hitting at 55%, sooner or later you're going to run into a losing streak. Even at a good percentage like 55%, you're going to hit a losing skid. And it's just randomness. You know, there's a winning streak coming, but you know, are you able to stick it out? And at the moment, I'm just kind of mentally burned out. So losing plus being burned out equals I sit on the sidelines for now. So that's where we're at right now. Coming up, another piece of bad news is season 2 of baseball. You know, we won last year, and you know, you want the receipts. The videos, I think, are still on YouTube. I don't think they've been Joe Rogan. I think they're still there. You can check it out. We did win, so we're looking forward to winning again. Except two things. One, I'm not sure there's going to be a season, as you know, some of the worst people in the entire world are baseball owners, and they seem bent on destroying the sport that we love. So we're not sure that there's going to be a season. And if there is a season, it may be a truncated season, which is going to screw all my models all to hell and mean we're going to have difficulty winning. So that's bad. Then the other bad piece of news is that I use an online database. That's kind of how I run my models, how I determine where my historical guardrails are as far as which games I want to be on. Well, this online database changed ownership around September, October of last year, and frankly, it's a mess. The database is just a mess right now. The word they use is beta testing. It's in beta testing. I think it's in alpha testing, if there is such a thing, because it is way off. Way off. It's basically unusable. So, you know, I'm not encouraged there that I'm going to have a working database when baseball comes around. So this is concerning me more than a little. So that's where we are sports-wise, you know, fans of the sports barn. You know, I wish I had better news to tell you, but I don't. So we'll just try to move forward, always forward. Let's try not to look backwards. Just go forward, try to do better tomorrow than we did yesterday. What else is going on? Super Bowl. So the Bengals. Who would have thunk it? I did tell you people at some point in a previous video, the Bengals are better than the Chiefs. I know I said that. Now, I don't know if I would have had the guts to stick to it in the championship game. I didn't bet that. But I did tell you people the Bengals are better than the Chiefs. So probably, I think I also said Matthew Stafford's never going to win a Super Bowl. So I'm hoping maybe that to be right on that, I need Joe Burrow to go ahead and beat him too. So I don't know if that's going to happen. But let me give you some information here that you're not going to hear anywhere else. That's why you come to the Sports Barn, is because you hear stuff in here that you don't hear anywhere else, nowhere else. So Bengal fans, this is for you. Listen up. If you watched the NFC Championship game, you saw the Rams, I'm going to say generously, let's say they struggled against the 49ers. I think that's putting it mildly. Putting it harshly is they got lucky to win. The 49ers are probably the better team, and the Rams just kind of got lucky, and they won. So, and they did not cover the spread. Did not cover the spread. Pretty much what I saw, the spread was at least 3.5 for the Rams. They won by a field goal. Did not cover. So, what does that mean? I went back through the Super Bowl history, which really isn't that extensive and didn't take that long. What happens when a team advances to the Super Bowl but does not cover in the championship game? You know, that happens not infrequently. You know, it happens. So we had, what do we got here? 14 instances of this happening. 4 times the team has then advanced to win the Super Bowl. 10 times. If you don't cover the championship game, you lose. So a team that is not covering in the championship game, 10 out of 14 times they lose straight up in the Super Bowl. Against the spread, it's even worse. 2-13-1. 2-13-1. I'll write that down. You're two wins, 13 losses, 1 tie if you don't cover in the championship game in the Super Bowl. The 2 winners, now you've tested my memory. That is the very first, second Super Bowl, the 1967 Green Bay Packers and the 2009 New Orleans Saints. Those are the only 2 that have covered the spread, covered the number in the Super Bowl, if following a subpar winning performance, if you will, in the championship game. Some examples. The most recent example of this would be 2017. The New England Patriots played a less than stellar effort in the AFC Championship game against, I forget who, probably Jacksonville, I think. Went out as a, 5-6 point favorite against the Eagles. The Eagles with a backup quarterback, and they got beat. 2011, the Patriots, another less than great effort in the championship game, seeking revenge against the New York Giants, lose. 2007, the undefeated New England Patriots, some would argue the best team ever, subpar effort in the championship game, and then lose outright as like a 14-point favorite to the Giants in the 2007 Super Bowl, one of the great upsets of all time. I don't know. I mean, what do we say here, Bengal fans? What are we thinking? We got to think that we're on to something here, you know, that the Rams might be gettable here. So I don't know. You know, pretty small sample size, let's face it, but still, you know, this is something that's just stretched out over a 50-year period here in Super Bowls. I don't know. If I'm a Bengal fan, I mean, what am I looking at to try to make myself feel better other than this? Well, I probably got a better quarterback. Joe Burrow, he doesn't have any experience, but he's probably a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford. I definitely have a better kicker. The Rams kicker looked bad. The kind of kick that, what's his name? Shooter McPherson is making with ease from mid-50s. The Rams kicker had one of those in his own stadium on the surface he's most familiar with, and he wasn't even close. It looked like a high school kicker trying to attempt that kind of kick. It was terrible. So the Bengals definitely have an advantage at kicker. Is that enough? Now, the main problem is how are you going to block Donald and Von Miller? Your O-line sucks. So that's the real problem, Bengal fans. I don't know. You got to come up with an answer for that. If you can come up with an answer for that, you're probably going to win the game. And I don't know who I'm picking yet. I haven't decided yet. I've lost my confidence. It's just like last year. We're not going to roll tires down the hill, but I don't know what we'll do. Flip a coin, do some damn thing. But, there's pluses and minuses on both sides. I just thought that was fantastically interesting that teams that come in on less than a roll into the Super Bowl do not do well. So what else we got here? The other bombshell in the NFL, Brady retired. I don't consider that a bombshell. I really don't care. So, The bombshell in the NFL is the Flores. I'm sorry, I can't think of the man. Is it Mike Flores? I don't know his first name. Coach Flores. His lawsuit against the NFL alleging racism. It's a bombshell. This is definitely nuclear war here. That he is going nuclear here, suing the NFL, accusing him of racism. I mean, I gotta tell you, I just love the irony. The NFL for 2 years now has told me what a racist I am. In other words, I can't flip on any of their content, any of their product without having end racism. Stop being a racist, white guy. Ram down my throat. Every last thing they do practically, the implication is you're a racist customer. You're a racist white guy watching this game. You need to be less racist. And now they themselves are being sued for racism. I mean, we're a lot of things here in the sports barn. I can tell you what we're not. We're not presently being sued for racism, unlike the NFL. So, is there any merit to Coach Flores' suit? I don't know. I mean, I don't have enough information. I know this. I always thought the guy was a good coach. I looked this up. Again, things you're only going to hear in the sports barn. Coach Flores' record against the spread in his 3 years in Miami, 30 wins, 19 losses. 30 wins, 19 losses. That's excellent. That is in probably the top 5 of any coach in the league. And that's what I use ultimately often to determine whether you're a good coach or not. What's your against the spread record? Are you exceeding expectations? Because this guy, he had a bad team. He had terrible teams. He has terrible ownership. And he was winning anyway. I mean, he wasn't winning enough, I guess. He didn't win the Super Bowl. But, a guy hamstrung with terrible ownership that's able to have a winning record of any type, that's a pretty good coach. So, firing him I thought was shocking. Now, the details in the lawsuit kind of explain why he got fired. The shitty owner wanted to tank, and this guy wanted to win. He's not in the tank school. Some coaches just don't believe in losing to win. It's the kind of it's a good philosophical debate. I mean, we all go through it. In other words, the last game of the season there, you always have that debate. Should I rest my starters? and lose on purpose to try to gain an advantage in the playoff game upcoming by being healthy, but we're going to lose on purpose here in this meaningless game. So we're losing. We're doing it on purpose to gain an advantage in the champion or the playoff game. Well, there's a school of thought that says the only thing losing teaches you is how to lose. That would be the Flores school. And then I guess the Stephen Ross school would be, oh yeah, let's lose because tomorrow we might have an advantage. I'm in the only losing teaches you how to lose school. I'm in that category. And if we get injured, we get injured. So that's the way the chips fall. But I think that there are more good coaches are in the losing only teaches you to lose school than the other category. But at any rate, that's not what we're really talking about here. Now back to the racist angle. Again, I don't have enough information to really make a decision one way or the other. I've always thought that Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for Andy Reid at Kansas City, I've kind of always thought that one was suspicious. In other words, Andy's coordinators throughout his tenure as head coach in the NFL very often end up as head coaches unless they don't want to be. For example, Andy Reid's D coordinator in Philadelphia for so many years that helped make Andy who he is was Jim Johnson. He had fantastic defenses. Andy didn't know anything about defense. So this guy was doing it all by himself. But he didn't want to be a head coach because he was elderly, and ultimately, I believe he died during Andy's head coaching tenure. I believe Johnson got cancer and died. I think he was in his upper 60s or early 70s. So he had no interest in head coaching. Now, I don't know what Bieniemy's ambitions are. Has he interviewed for coaching jobs? I just don't know. I don't know if he has and's been rejected. That I find a little suspicious just because, this is a guy that's coordinating one of the top offenses in the league. And, those are the kind of guys that are generally hired at some point somewhere sooner rather than later. So I've always thought that one was a little suspicious. But Flores' case, I don't know. He's still in the running in Houston and New Orleans for their head coaching jobs. So I don't know. But it'll be interesting going forward. This is a case I know the NFL wants to go away. If this case ends up going to some level of discovery where Flores' side gets to get documents from the NFL, there's going to be a lot of embarrassing stuff in there. The NFL will have to lie, cheat, and steal to cover up a lot of that stuff, which they have no trouble doing. But, it's definitely something the NFL wants to go away. So I don't know what they're going to do. Be interesting to see. All right, moving into some politics now. Because it's all politics now. Everything's politics. I just talked about, the NFL, and that's politics. A guy suing the NFL for racism really has nothing to do with the X's and O's on the field, does it? That's politics. So, one positive, things still are mostly negative in this world. We're in a world right now where the authoritarians control most of the world. And they're exercising their power in a way they've never done in the past. They've got the power, and now they're starting to exercise it. So the question is, are they going to be able to just take over the whole world and put us all into a gilded cage, or are we going to fight back and force them to back off? So, that's what's going on right now. In Canada, in case you've missed it, which is always possible because especially my moderate Democrat friends out there, I know you guys watch things like CNN and NBC and CBS and read the New York Times, so you're not told what's actually happening in the world. You're told what the authoritarians want you to know. There's been a big revolt up there in Canada where the peons, led by, of all things, truck drivers, owner-operator truckers, are marching on the Capitol, driving their trucks into the Capitol and parking them and just leaving them there, blowing the horn every 10 seconds, I imagine, trying to get their authoritarian leader, Trudeau, to back off of his tyrannical COVID measures. They haven't had much luck yet. Not that I expected them to have luck, but good for them. I mean, good for them to get the balls to at least try to do something. Do something, not just sit there and take it. Now, why aren't we doing that in this country? Well, one, I think we are planning to do something like that. I've heard rumblings that the truckers in this country are talking about trying a similar convoy to Washington. I'm in the trucking industry. I don't have a whole lot of hope for that, just because trying to get the truckers together to do anything historically probably hasn't happened since the 70s. So may not happen. And also the measures in Canada, I think it's bad here. It's twice, 3 times as bad in Canada. I mean, this is just one of these places that's just gone COVID crazy, where it's like Austria, it's like Australia, Canada. These people have just gone full Nazi. It's like, what is hell? I don't know. It's just the people in charge have just suddenly decided that this is my chance and I'm seizing power. And that's what they've been doing. So, the people up there, the people that like responsibility, individual responsibility, freedom, they're fighting back. So good for them. I noticed another, like I said, the authoritarians have control all the arms of power in the world right now, and they're starting to use it. One of the things they control are all these big technological websites. GoFundMe outed themselves this week as the leftist authoritarians. That's basically what they are. So the Canadian truckers were using this website, which I guess is how you would raise money for a cause or what have you. So they raised $10 million. $10 million, that's pretty much money. That's pretty much money when it's not coming from millionaires and billionaires. It's not. It's coming from people like you and I. So they've raised $10 million, and GoFundMe, of course, then went, well, wait a minute now. This is a lot of money. It's going to our philosophical enemies. We just, only took a few phone calls from their authoritarian buddies in the governments to say, hey, you can't do this. You can't fund these guys. Come on, man. You need to play ball. You're on our team. So then they said, no, we're done. We can't give you that money. So people went crazy. So GoFundMe now is in the midst of wait a minute. And then they're refunding the money, at least. They're doing that. But they outed themselves as, as all the basically tech giants have done over the last 2 years. I mean, if I say the word YouTube, what first thing comes to mind to me is censorship. I mean, they're flying the censorship flag as high and as proudly as they can, and they don't care. They don't care that they censor people on the right side of the aisle. They don't care that people like myself that want to speak freely, that they shut us down. They just don't care. It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter if they lose money doing it. So GoFundMe has outed themselves. But it's kind of just them seizing the money like that. That's where we're going in this country, is that sort of thing is just dividing us further and further into 2 camps. And that's where I see this continuing to go. The authoritarians have power for now, but they don't have a majority. It's probably the best they've got. If you even even if you give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're more numerous than you think they are, which I don't think they are, but let's just for fun, just for argument's sake, it's 55-45, and I think that's their best case scenario. They're never going to subjugate that 45%, and I don't think they have the power to do it. So the other side, my side, the freedom lovers, we're going to all conjugate together in areas where we have majorities, and they're not going to be able to rule us, if you will. So you're going to basically have two geographic sides. That is happening. I mean, I keep saying people are physically moving out of whatever area they don't want to be. I mean, the examples are just numerous. They just passed a rule in Oregon that they're going to make masks in school permanent, forever. It's like, well, if you got any kind of common sense and you got kids in Oregon, you got two choices: either homeschool your kids or move. You don't have a third choice. So, this is the sort of thing that's happening everywhere. So, these people trapped behind enemy lines in these blue states, they're moving out of there. So I view that as bad. With the geographic segregation of this country into along political lines, not good. When's the last time that happened? Oh, I don't know, maybe 1860. And sooner or later, they're going to fight. There's going to be a fight. I've thought about that. You ever think about that? If you ever delve into any kind of Civil War history, the argument made by the lost causers, the Southern people and their ancestors, often is, well, there didn't need to be a Civil War, damn it. They could have just let us go. They could have just bought us off where we paid them off. In other words, well, you got a hell of a lot of federal property there. We're not just going to let you go. We paid for that too. You're going to take all our forts with you? All right, well, what will it take? What do we got to pay you? So there probably could have been a financial solution there where the North could have just said, all right, go ahead. You pay us a big chunk of change to pay for all the federal property you're taking. And all right, good, thanks. Thanks for being in the club, but sorry it didn't work out. See you later. I don't think that would have worked. You would have had two countries then side by side, the USA and the whatever the hell they were calling themselves, the traitor USA, the CSA, Confederate States of America. And we would have existed side by side, and sooner or later they would have fought. Sooner or later, there would have been a war for no other reason that the Northern, a large percentage of the North, wasn't just going to allow the South to just walk away and continue with their slavery. They were going to keep going into the South trying to free the slaves. And the South wasn't going to have that. That's an invasion by a foreign country into their sovereign territory or whatever you want to call it. So sooner or later, that would have caused a war all by itself, just that. I think there would have been other things, economic tensions and that sort of stuff, that would have eventually, sooner rather than later, caused a war. So I don't think this idea that the South could have just walked away and everything been hunky-dory, and we would have been like England and America. Oh, we're cousins. We're allies now, despite the fact that we fought at some point in our distant past. No, I don't think it would have gone down like that. And this is kind of the same thing I'm thinking. Blue and red America are not going to exist side by side and be just hunky-dory. Sooner or later, it's going to be trouble. There's going to be trouble. As long as the blue side just keeps going down this authoritarian path they're on. It's, you just wonder, it's like, where does it end? I mean, the censorship is just out of control. I mean, God, they're censoring their own damn people now. They suspended Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, she's as far left as it gets. She's as authoritarian as it gets, and they've censored her now. I just find that funny. It's like, what? And what did she say that was so terrible? I mean, I think she said something about the Holocaust, and it's like, what? So what? Let her speak her mind. What is she saying that's so scary, that's so terrible? Let her say it. If you don't like her ideas, then counter them, which we would have. But of course, the left, they don't want the free exchange of ideas. They only want their ideas out there. How do you know you're on the side of evil? How do you know you're on the wrong side? If you or people on your side are trying to shut up somebody else, you're on the side of evil. That's pretty simple. If you're censoring somebody else, you're on the wrong side. You're on the side of evil. That's about as simple as I can make it. What else do we see here? I saw this, as I said, that people are going to segregate into red and blue areas. And then if you're in a blue area, you got to determine whether or not you're down with tyranny, down with being told what to do 24/7. I'll give you an example of blue on blue crime, if you will. There's near here, University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League school. I have connections to that school in a way. That's a story for another time. But their swim team, they have a women's swimming team there. Competes in the NCAA and the Ivy Leagues. Well, they have a swimmer on their women's swim team that used to be a dude, a guy, a whatever. What are we calling these people? Transgender? So this guy, he swam on the men's team, I think for 2, maybe 3 seasons. Wasn't very good. Now he's decided to be a woman. So, and I don't know what I honestly haven't a clue what they do to become a woman. I don't know if they cut their dick off. I don't know if they undergo chemical treatments or hormone treatments or whatever. I have no idea. But now this dude is now a woman. And he's swimming, or she's swimming, I'm sorry. She is swimming on the women's team. And she's the best swimmer on the team. Shazam! Who could have seen that coming? What a shock. So all these, I won't say all, but a percentage, probably a sizable percentage, I don't know if it's a majority, but a sizable percentage of the Penn women's team is not down with this because, they're busting their asses trying to be the best they could be. And all of a sudden this guy used to be guy walks in, and now she is the best swimmer on the damn team. It's like, wait a minute, that's not fair. It's just as basic as that. That's not fair. And so they've grasped this basic concept, and they are speaking out a little bit. Now, what I think is funny is these women that are speaking out against the transgender swimmer, they're all Democrats. I mean, every last one of them. I mean, if I had to go and say, okay, the University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League school in Philadelphia, a bluest of blue areas, a bluest of blue college, the Ivy League, how many people, and they're all women too, by the way, how many of them are Republicans? Well, it's simple. None. None. There's no way. None. So they're all Democrats, and they're getting a dose of reality here in that, wait a minute, maybe some of these woke things that we all pledge to, now that they're adversely affecting us, maybe this isn't so cool. Boy, this doesn't seem right, that this guy that was just the middle of the roader over there on the men's team's now on our team, and he's kicking all our asses. Well, this isn't right. So what do these women do now? Where that's what these people in the blue areas are going to have to determine at some point. They just wrote a letter to the NCAA and I believe the University of Pennsylvania, asking those two entities. I think I have that right. No, I'm sorry. I think they wrote it to the Ivy League and the University of Pennsylvania, asking them not to sue the NCAA. In other words, the NCAA right now has come out with a policy on what are we going to do about these transgender people. I mean, we're going to let them compete at a national level and just make a mockery of all the women's records and what have you. So they've issued a protocol. I glanced at it. Basically, what I got out of it is the transgender swimmer, whose name's Lia Thomas, it's going to keep Lia Thomas from competing. She's just not going to be able to meet these guidelines. The guidelines are basically, they're vague but specific. In other words, you got to be able to prove that you don't have an unfair advantage over the cisgender. That's a word I just learned. Cisgender, that means women were born women. Cisgender women on the that you're competing against, that you're not carrying over an advantage from used to being a dude. So, and she is not going to be able to meet that. There's also a hormonal benchmark that I have no idea what it means, but I don't know if she can meet that either. So she's going to be ruled out of the NCAA competitions. In other words, they're competing right now during Ivy League competitions. There's a national meet, I guess, coming up, and Lia Thomas is going to be ruled out. So I guess the Ivy League and the University of Pennsylvania is deciding, hey, this isn't right. You know, we want our transgender woman to compete. Penn, I guess. I don't know what Penn's thinking other than, just blind wokeism, that they need to support transgender people at the cost of everything and anything. So that's probably what they're thinking. At Ivy League, I imagine they're thinking the exact same thing. So they're going to sue the NCAA. They're going to sue these guys, saying you got to include Lia Thomas. You need to make her active and let her compete at the highest levels of swimming. When you think about that, 2 years from now, Lia Thomas could be competing against Missy Hyatt and I forget the other great U.S. swimmer right now in the Olympics. She could be representing the United States, I imagine, in women's swimming. So, that's ultimately where this goes. So the swimmers on Lia Thomas's team, a good number of them have said, no, we don't want you challenging this NCAA policy. We don't want her competing, unless she meets the guidelines that she doesn't have an unfair advantage. There are cases, basically, this dude used to be 462nd. He was ranked 462nd, and I have no idea what that's out of, if that's out of the Penn swimmers or the Ivy League or nationally. I have no idea what that means. But apparently, she is now number one. She's ranked number one of women swimmers. So they're saying, obviously, this person's times are just so ridiculously fast compared to what we cisgender women are swimming. Obviously, Lia Thomas has an advantage. Obviously. Now get this. This is the world these women at Penn who are getting a wake-up call of wokeism. This is the world they live in. I want to read you something that I got out of Sports Illustrated, because I was, trying to research this a little bit so I don't trip on my tongue and say the wrong thing. This is out of Sports Illustrated, their article about this controversy. Quote, "The science around trans athletes is unsettled. It has not been proven that trans women who are required to go through hormone therapy to compete in the NCAA retain an advantage over their cisgender peers." Unquote. Sports Illustrated. I mean, come on! The science around trans athletes is unsettled. It has not been proven that trans women who are required to go through hormone therapy to compete in the NCAA retain an advantage over their cisgender peers. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, come on. Jesus Christ. I mean, if you look outside and there's this much snow on the ground, you know it snowed. That didn't get there by accident. My God, this former guy, is just tearing up the Ivy Leagues with times that his women competitors just can only marvel at. He's obviously carried over an advantage. Everyone knows it. Lord, I mean, it's just, and this is the world these women live in a blue country. So, now here's this is what, for you Republicans out there that are very despondent about the fact that the left controls education. They control it entirely. They control secondary education, primary education. They control the colleges. They control the universities. They control academia. We've done a terrible job in educating our youth in that we've allowed the authoritarians to brainwash our kids. We've just been asleep at the wheel, and they've seized the opportunity. Kudos to them, I guess. But this is something that they cannot change, and I'm going to call it the Churchill effect, because Winston Churchill said this. Winston Churchill said, "A man at 20 who is not a socialist has no heart. A man at 30 who is not a conservative has no brain." And the implication is, you're young, you don't know anything, you haven't experienced life yet, you're 20 years old. Yes, kumbaya, let's all hug and we'll all get together and put all our earnings and belongings together in a big pile, and we'll just all pull together for a common goal, and the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. But then as you go through, your early years of life, things like this happen, and you get punched in the face with reality, and you find out, hey, you know what? This socialism crap doesn't work. Well, so some of these, I'm going to say at least one. I'm not going to set the bar too high. At least one of these women on that swim team is going to become a Republican. At some point, she's going to say to herself, "This doesn't make any sense. I'm in the wrong place." Like I said, I'm not going to set the bar too high, because we're talking about the bluest of blue Democrats here on the University of Pennsylvania swim team, women's swim team, no less. So, but that is the Churchill effect. You can't beat it. Always happens. You can't stop it, Democrats. You cannot stop it. It will continue to happen. So, the youth of this country, they're brainwashed, but, reality's undefeated. And sooner or later, some of these people get woken up by reality and end up on the red team, if you will. So, and another thing I saw about that is, they said in there that they've been threatened. I mean, basically, that's the playbook of the censorship. Once again, censorship. The people at Pennsylvania are telling these girls, these women, the young women, don't say anything. Go with the program. Don't speak out against Lia Thomas. You might not have a job offer when you graduate. That's censorship. Once again, which side should you be on? Well, probably not the side of evil, which is the side that's trying to shut these women up. Why do they not have a right to speak their mind about what they think about their teammate, Lia Thomas? Why is the University of Pennsylvania, why is the Ivy League trying to shut these girls up? Women, young women. So, there you have it. Oh, what else we got here? I just had one other lockdown thing here in case you missed it. Yet another study has come out saying lockdowns are useless, which from Johns Hopkins, researchers at Johns Hopkins, they went through all the various data available, I imagine, found that mortality rates affected not at all virtually by lockdowns, mask edicts, mandates, et cetera, et cetera. I guess what I find surprising about that is that Johns Hopkins allows these type of people to research under their name. That's what I found surprising. I thought that a leftist organization like Johns Hopkins would have purged these type of people from their roles. Now, if you want to know what Johns Hopkins thinks about their own report put out by their own researchers, they tried to hide it. They didn't even put out a press release about it. They just kind of like, oh, those 3 guys over there, I thought we got rid of them. No, they're telling the world that lockdowns don't work. Well, I already knew that. But, in case you didn't know that, just another study, from people more authoritarian or have more credibility, let's say that, than some dude talking in a barn without heat. How about that? For every study, the authoritarians can trot out saying masks work and mandates work. I could probably name 2 studies showing they don't. And then you just got your common sense. Where the hell? Why are the stack of bodies in lockdown states? Why is that stack of bodies just as high as states like Florida and Texas? Just common sense tells you lockdowns don't work, haven't worked, didn't work, just like I told you they wouldn't. And and furthermore, the Johns Hopkins study then further concluded, the societal negative effects by these lockdowns, forget about it, through the roof. Awful, terrible. You have kids growing up where they've never gone to school without a mask. You got little kids that have never gone to school without a mask. How is that going to negatively affect these kids in the years to come? No one knows, but I tell you, it won't be good. But people in Oregon apparently don't give a shit about that. Terrible. So that's all we got for you. I thought I'd make a video. Like I said, I've been kind of just been burned out, taking it easy. So here we got you some content. Our loyal followers that want to know, hey, is the Big E still out there? Yes, I'm still here. Here I am. So we'll try to get baseball going for you. We're hopeful. We're really hoping that we get, 1, the season started on time, 2, my database up and running. I have control of neither, so we're just kind of floating along hoping. Hey, thanks. Hit the like button. Subscribe, go nuts if you want to, and we'll talk again. Eric Arnold, I believe in free speech, and I'm signing off.